Flutter 3.38 arrives alongside Dart 3.10 with big web, iOS, Android, and DevTools improvements for Flutter, and one of Dart's most requested quality of life features. Let's dive in. First up, available in Dart 3.10 is a highly requested quality of life feature that we are calling dot shorthands. The dot shorthands feature takes inspiration from Swift and is all about not redeclaring information that the compiler already knows. It will make a lot of Dart code easier to read and write, and should have a particularly profound effect on Flutter build methods. Consider this code, which instantiates a column widget. The cross-axis alignment parameter only accepts values from the cross-axis alignment enum. So why do we have to retype that whole name? Well, the answer is because you have not been using Dart 3.10 yet. With dot shorthands, you can access static properties off of known types, called context types, without restating the name of that type. And because this is all based on known types, you still get full code completion. Let's break it down. The most important part is context types, which means that the place where you're typing this code fully implies the type. This means that if a function parameter accepts an object, or if you're assigning your own variable, like this, then the type in question is unknown, so dot shorthands will not be able to help. The compiler must be able to infer the type, like when you're passing enum values to various Flutter widgets. Dot shorthands is also great for constructors. Imagine you have a class. That much should be easy. And a function which accepts an instance of that class. When you call that function, dot shorthands allows you to directly invoke either the default constructor, available at .new, or any other constructors you've added yourself. Next, Dart has refreshed its Analyzer plugin system, opening up new possibilities for customized static analysis, whether for a package that you maintain or to maintain consistency within your own team's codebase. Also available in Flutter 3.38 are several web improvements. First is a stronger, more robust way to configure your web server when running Flutter run -d web-server or -d Chrome. Most of these options were already available via command line flags, but now you can define a web dev config.yaml file and specify consistent ports, paths to certs for HTTPS testing, custom headers the development server should include in its responses, or even URL rewrites. And these URL rewrites under the proxy keyword are brand new in Flutter 3.38. And all of these options can aid development and integration with your server. Hot Reload on the web is also taking another incremental step forward, as it is now available when using the -d web-server flag, which allows you to test your apps on other browsers instead of only using Chrome. The opt-out flag, --no web experimental hot reload, will not be supported forever. So please, file issues describing any friction which compels you to use this flag. Flutter 3.38 also has tricks up its sleeves for iOS developers. We're excited to announce that this release brings full support for Apple's latest releases, including iOS 26, macOS 26, and of course, Xcode 26. In this release, Flutter is also adding support for Apple's UI Scene Lifecycle API, which will be mandatory for all UIKit-based apps in the next iOS release. For now, all apps must run Flutter config -- enable UI Scene migration, and then Flutter Run or Flutter Build iOS will apply the necessary changes. This migration is currently experimental, but will soon be enabled by default. Plugins, add to app, and any Flutter apps with modified app delegates must all migrate manually and should consult Flutter's documentation linked below. Also new in Flutter 3.38 is a smoother mechanism for launching Flutter apps on attached Apple devices when using Flutter Run. No longer will all of Xcode need to open, as Flutter is now able to rely on the Xcode command line tools for everything it needs. Flutter 3.38 also includes modernizing updates for Android. Starting November 1st, apps on the Google Play Store targeting Android versions 15 and above must support 16 kilobyte page sizes, which drives big performance improvements on modern devices. Flutter 3.38 updates the default Android NDK version for new apps to NDK R28, the minimum required for native code to achieve proper alignment for 16 kilobyte support. Existing apps should bump these versions manually. This will ensure healthy, compliant Flutter apps on Android as the platform evolves for high-memory devices. Flutter 3.38 also brings fresh functionality to its suite of DevTools. In our latest stable release, version 3.35, we announced the arrival of widget previews to quickly examine a widget in action without launching your entire app. Since then, we've expanded IDE support, adding Android Studio and IntelliJ integrations. Amongst other boilerplate and usability improvements, widget previews can also coexist side by side themselves, simplifying the task of verifying multiple variants of the same widgets. Last, and holy smokes, certainly not least, are several updates to the framework itself. Work is ongoing for Flutter's effort to break the Material and Cupertino libraries out of the framework. And to dispel any doubts, this is the opposite of reduced effort on those design languages. Once outside the framework, the Flutter team will be able to ship improvements more nimbly. Beyond that, the effort forces valuable refactors that move more logic into the raw widgets layer, which helps anyone working on a design language in Flutter. Lastly, and probably most importantly, Flutter developers will be able to update their Flutter SDK version without opting into surprising changes to basic UI elements. If you are interested in learning more about or even influencing the decoupling project, see the multiple open design documents linked in the show notes below. Beyond that, this release improves many aspects of Flutter development across the Material, Cupertino, and widgets layers. And all of this are just some of the highlights for Flutter 3.38 and Dart 3.10. For the full scoop, make sure to check out the release blog posts linked in the show notes below. And for everything else on Flutter, head to flutter.dev.